So now we're going to just kind of go through these notes. And these notes are built from this tutorial on Point, which is Tutorials Point. And I really like their way they kind of go through stuff. And you could get to this page of notes if you're just finding this on the internet. You could get to this page of notes by going to this URL right here. So bit.ly 2n99jbd. And that'll bring you to this page of notes. But we're going to just cruise through this page of notes and take a gander at some of these things. So some of this will be review and some of it will be new territory. But for me, like, the book is like that friend who just talks a little bit too long. You're like, yeah, what's the point of the story? You know, and I actually am that friend. Like, people often tell me, like, you know, okay, can you say that in less words? I had a boss one time stop me and say, Todd, don't build me a clock, just tell me the time. That was like 20 years ago. I was like, okay. But I guess that makes me a good teacher because, like, I could just be put in front of a crowd and I could talk for 2 hours about nothing. I've sometimes thought about going into comedy because sometimes my talking turns funny, but I don't think I could control when it becomes funny. Like, if I try to think of something funny to tell you right now, it's like perfect Zen emptiness. My mind just goes blank. Nothing funny. Anyhow, we'll learn some new things here. So we've learned what the command line interface is, and it's called Terminal, Bash, and Shell on Mac, Unix, Linux, and DOS prompt or command prompt on Windows. And then we saw this example here where, to create, it's a movie database example. And we create a database, we create database movie rentals, and then we do \L, and it lists out our databases, and then we change into movie rentals, and then we create a table customers, and then we have the field, the data type, constraints. The field, the data type, constraints. All right, so that's the pattern that we follow. And then we insert into, and these are, you could do it either way here. You insert into that table values, and then we just list those values out. And if we don't, we could also specify the field name and then values. That's why that's in red. That's optional, right? But if we don't specify the field name, we just want to make sure we insert these in the same order that the field names are listed. How would we see the order in which the field names are listed? What's the command? To see the fields in a table. It's \D table name, right? So if I'm at my terminal, I do \D and resort tickets, it listed out all my field names. D, I kind of think of details. All right? So that's insert into, and then we created another table, and we insert into, and then we created another table, rentals, and we insert into, and rentals, the values. And then we do our select statements. Select star from customers, right? Selects everything. Or select field name from customers. And then there's this order by customer descending. That's kind of cool. So if I came here and I looked at, like, select RT last from resort tickets, right? I got those. BMV, BMB, right? I could also do it like this. Select resort tickets dot RT first, right? Sorry, RT last from resort tickets. So I could prefix it with the table name. That's something that maybe hasn't been completely clear, but if we're pulling from multiple tables at once, prefixing with the table name can make it clear where the field's coming from. Or if we have name collisions. So, in one table we have first, and in another table we have first. Then we're going to have to prefix it with the table name to specify which first we want there. So that would be a name collision. And you hear me talking about tables and fields. So a table is like a spreadsheet. That's the way you should picture it in your mind. Right? A table is like a spreadsheet. And you have fields, which are columns. This would be like first, last, city, state, zip. Right? Each of those columns is a field. And this is how it often looks in graphical user interface database environments. When you look at a table, it just looks like a spreadsheet. And then the rows are records. This would be James, Bond, ... everything, all the fields for that record would be filled in. And this would be Jenny, Moneypenny, right? So we have a database, the database hierarchy. A database is made up of tables. A table is made up of records, individual records. Records are made up of fields, and fields are made up of characters. Okay, ringing some bells a little bit. What we wrote out that one day, database hierarchy. So here we have the big join statement. We're going to learn about joins coming up soon and being able to connect tables and pulling fields from multiple tables. But you all have all of this now, right? Like just a week or two ago, we're only in week 3, end of week 3, 6 classes. And the first week was like, let's draw it out on the board. And then the second week was like, okay, let's start trying to use it. And when I showed you all this, remember the Monday of the second week, we tried Cloud Spanner, and I'm like, too many subtleties and nuances, right? So then Wednesday dropped into Postgres of last week. Only a week ago, I showed you this, and you all were like, hyperdrive, like it's all blur, right? But now this is all, you guys all got that 1 week later. What's Jose? No, don't answer, Jose. How do you say can in Spanish? Lata, right? Like, oh, cool, we slowly learn this language. And guess what? If you keep devoting yourself each week to learning the language, like in not too distant future, you're going to be speaking this language pretty well. But you know what's going to happen? You're not going to go to Mexico for 2 years, and then you're going to like find yourself in Mexico, and somebody's going to be like, hola, ¿cómo está? ¿De dónde es tú? And you're going to be like, I don't know what you're saying, man. Because you haven't spoken the language in 2 years. But it'll come back a little bit more quickly. So my strong recommendation is after this class is done, like in November, start looking for one day or an internship where you do SQL. Or start looking for a job where you do SQL. Just look for SQL programmer job. Or volunteer with some project where you're the SQL person. You make sure there's a couple other SQL people, because you're going to need somebody who's like, when you're stuck, you could say, hey, I'm stuck. But then just keep speaking it, keep speaking it, keep speaking it, and cement it in. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. How many people have learned a language and now you can't remember how to speak it, right? What language was yours, Roxanne? Yeah, isn't that a bummer? Like, dude, I used to know how to speak that. I just haven't used it forever. Like calculus, I couldn't do derivatives. But at one point, I could like calculate the volume beneath a weird shaped object over a desk and know the volume between. Like I was going to grow up and create beverage containers or something. I've learned so many pointless things. I think that's the thing about school, which is kind of stupid. Like learning should be more integrated with working. Like learn it and use it, and then learn something new and move to the next higher level and use it, right? Like that'd be a better way. As opposed to you do all this learning, you forget it all, and then you go get a job, and for 80% of people, it has nothing to do with everything you learned. What a waste of time.
I saw a TED Talk on that the other day. They want to change learning for what you just said.
See? I'm a genius. All right, we're going to create the next video because this one's getting long.